Mic check, mic check, mic check. I don't know who's in here, but what's up? Bam, 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 boom, bam, bam. Let me open this bitch. How are we doing? We're gonna wait for a few. What up, radio? How we doing? How we doing? How we doing? Prime Gaming Minutes. I wanna see if I can do something really quick on the Twitch. There we go. Okay, amazing. Amazing. Radio, how we doing? Thank you for the likes. This is gonna be a tough podcast. I ultimately I wanted to do it by myself because I feel like it enabled me to well, really what the issue was that I didn't or my guest that I had today that I was super excited about, he actually had to end up canceling. And because he canceled, I was kind of left with the last minute thing, which is fine. But he we're gonna reschedule him, and it gives me the availability to just make maybe like a 30, 45-minute segment on like my Marine Corps career, ask anyone or answer any questions that anyone has, who stops in and says what's up. But what up, Staples? How we doing? But you know what? Actually, I have 2 subs that I would like to give. Let me try and do this. Hold on. Let me try and do this. Great news. What up, Staples? What's the great news? Let's hear it. Let's hear it, dude. What do you mean this is out of stock? That doesn't make sense. 0 left. Huh. Interesting. Well, we'll see what happens there. Let's hear the great news. And then we'll get into it. I'm trying to get my license this month, and I'm also trying to get a car from my buddy this month as well. Would you look at that? Would you look at that, folks? Crazy. He's getting a car before I go and leave. Would you look at that? Just absolutely insanity. Absolute insanity that he's going to get a car. There's just no way, dude. There's just no way. Let me see who I want to gift this to really quick. People who are always in here. I know fucking Radio's always in here. Can I gift her a free month? Kia Forte? I mean, hey, that's not a Kias suck, I'm not gonna lie. So like that would be awful. But okay. So here we go. I'm gonna give these 2 subs on TikTok really quick. We're gonna go here, boom, and then we're gonna go check it out. Hold on. We're gonna give it to Zodum, the new one. Oh, the new one, bro. Hold on. Trying to see who to give this to, guys. Yeah, seems like a good whatever. They're not gonna re-up anyway. We can't seem to get subs on TikTok anymore. Save my life, brother. Collect 20 diamonds for the next 4 days. Okay. Hold on. Okay, perfect. So we're here. We got 4 people. If you're in the Twitch, please say hello. Please let me know you're here. Oh my god, why isn't this working? What is happening? Interesting. Okay. But yeah, please say what's up in the Twitch. Let me know. Basically, what I wanted to turn this specific segment of Marine Mondays in, I wanted to do more of like a personal one. One, because the person that I had coming was had to cancel last minute. And secondly, it gives me a way to like almost clip my own story and kind of make posts about that, you know? Oh, that's too dark. Hold on. That's and like that's where my head's at. So I feel like there's not going to be many people in here for this, but I'm going to talk a little bit about my Marine Corps background, my story, and then also if anyone joins and has any questions, we can answer those as well. So I'll start it off here. I joined in 2017. In April, I graduated boot camp in July. I was a recon contract off the rip. So I went to East Coast boot camp. I ended up actually coming to West Coast for my ITB, which is Infantry Training Battalion. I got the best of both worlds in that sense, where I got to go to boot camp on the East Coast, but I also ended up being able to come and experience more of the training aspect of the Marine Corps before I really got to my first unit and stuff. And I got to experience the West Coast for that, which I think is pretty unique, and not everyone gets to do that. Because traditionally, if you go to whatever coast you go to boot camp on, that is where you end up going to boot camp. Or I'm sorry, that's where you end up going to MCT. So you continue your training, at least as an early Marine, on the same coast. I got to experience both, which I like a lot. I didn't make it through recon. I was super upset about that. And it sucked, but that's the reason I joined the Marine Corps. And while I was transitioning out of recon, I was like, what do I want to go back? Like, what do I want to choose? The cool thing about where I was at the time, hold on. The cool thing about where I was at the time is that I actually didn't I didn't get like a random MOS. I was able to choose my MOS and where I ended up really wanting to go. Which for a lot of recon drops, which is what we would refer to people like me as, they don't get that availability, right? They just needs the Marine Corps, right? They get told where, what's needed, and you know, there they go. I got to a certain point to where I was able to choose my MOS. I did some research, and then also other people were talking about where they were going, and so Crash Crew got brought up. I thought it was a good gig due to the fact, not that I specifically ever wanted to do firefighting, but I did find out and know that there was a whole bunch of certifications and things like that that I could utilize outside the Marine Corps, that I felt was going to be more beneficial for myself at that time, instead of going right to like the infantry and basically wasting 4 years of my life there, because you know those guys do some badass shit, and you can't fight that, but like they don't have time to do anything for themselves, and it's tough, you know, because they work their ass off, and it's hard for them to get college. It's hard for them to like progress as something other than a grunt, you know what I mean? So I was like, no, I don't want to do that. I want to like finish college. I want to set myself up for when I want to get out. And I was pretty set in stone on going to Crash Crew, right? You know, finishing the schoolhouse, getting the fleet, finishing 4 years, and then calling it quits and saying, I'm done, I'm cool, right? I did my 4 years honorably and I get out. And here I am 8 years later, and that's not the case. Personally, the schoolhouse for me was like hard and easy. I talked to a lot of the people that I've had on here, and they've given me some mixed reviews. Specifically the Crash Crew guys. I found it easy because physically at the time I was in really great shape from where I was coming from, you know, with the recon background. And then, but the hard part for me was actually the schooling. I found it hard due to the fact that I didn't want to learn it. I didn't have any want to learn any of that stuff. Like the physical application and the practical application on some of those things, where like structural fires were coming into play. You know, being able to like break some doors down, carry bodies, learn like how to roll a hose out and spray water and break and cut into roofs and stuff for ventilation purposes, right? Like that type of stuff was fun, but the school side of it, I had no want to learn it. So it was tough for me to like sit there and study all this information, just knowing that I probably wasn't going to apply it, like outside the Marine Corps at least. So that portion of it was kind of dry for me. As far as when I got to my first unit was MWSS 372. It's over in Camp Pendleton, California. It's a small wing unit is what we call it, and or is what it's called. It's a support squadron, right? So it supports other units in field operations, right? So the capabilities of a wing unit usually consist of fueling, an ARF unit, right? An EAF unit, Expeditionary Airfield something. I don't remember what the F stands for, but they rebuild the airfields. There's HE, which is like the technical side of, or not technical, but the engineering side of things, right? So people building roads or whatever, or like with the forklifts, trams, anything heavy equipment wise, right? That's HE, heavy equipment, like maintainer essentially. They will be that. They'll be a motor T unit there for drivers, obviously. And then there'll be like the battalion, right? Which is like, you know, or squadron, which is hosts all of the administrative people. When I got there, it was 2018. So I had at that point gone through basically a year of my 5-year contract as a in training, right? So I got to my first unit. I was 24 years old, and I was disgruntled. I was upset that I wasn't where I wanted to be. And you know, the funny thing is, as soon as I got there, I think within the first month of me getting to my first unit, I went on a field op. We went up to Northern California for our first field op, and we were up there, and I think the guys that I was with for that time period, joining the Marine Corps, was very unique in the aspect of like it being like very, very like brotherhood oriented. And I came from an all boys high school where brotherhood was a huge thing. I joined a fraternity where brotherhood was a huge thing. And then these group of guys that I ended up, you know, luckily getting stationed with for my first duty station was awesome. You know, there was a lot of cool guys that respected me, you know, respected everyone, but they respected me in a different way. I'm not going to say more than others, but they respected the fact that I was older than everyone, right? I was 24. A lot of the people that were in charge of me were either the same age as me or younger, right? They all were NCOs at the time when I was a Lance Corporal, and they were all younger than me. So like it was like a different kind of respect, to where it's like they knew that I respected them because of the rank, but and that I would do whatever tasks needed to be done. But it worked out because it was like this mutual kind of respect, like, hey, you're older than me, so it's hard for me to tell you what to do in a sense, but also like, hey, this is the pipeline of things that you have to learn and you have to get proficient at, so that later on you can do those things in an emergency, or you know, whatever the case may be within our job. But that first field op was, like, in my opinion, a blessing for what I ended up embarking on throughout my time at 372, because that really, like, it made me feel so comfortable around the people that were there at the time and that I was working with. It was such a fun environment because it got me yeah, I was in the field, but like everyone was there, everyone was having their own fun. They showed me like how the field can be so different than being in the office type of thing. Um, and it was a very unique first field op. It was really cool. I got to deal with a lot of cool aircraft. I got to learn a lot. And I came back from that pretty excited to be a 372 at that time. Moving forward with my career, I mean, by 2019, I had only been a 372 for a year. I had gone on maybe 10 plus field ops at that time. And my gunnery sergeant at the time asked me if I wanted to go on a deployment on a MEU, and I was like, yeah, send me, right? So me and three other of my peers ended up getting selected to go on this deployment, as well as a staff NCO at the time, and we that was an experience in itself, right? I got to, as a young Marine, right, I got to experience a whole deployment under my belt, where a lot of people in my MOS go their entire career and they don't necessarily get deployed. So what's your opinion on security forces? We'll pause and answer this question really quick. Chan, if I'm saying that right. Security forces as the MOS. I think it's unique because there's two sides of it, right? There's the opportunity side that you get from being in a field that offers the infantry side, and also as a young Marine gives you the availability to travel to a different country, because you might get that MSG contract out of boot camp or whatever, and you could get sent over seas to the embassies over there, right? The negative side that I see in that is when you come back, you're going to be a part of an infantry unit. And the thing about an infantry unit is that they take their rank structure really seriously. I worked with a bunch of, I went through ITB, I went through the infantry training battalion and that pipeline, and even though I'm a Pogue MOS, right? And I also worked with infantry like an exponential amount throughout my career because of my MOS. So like I know how it works really well, and they take their rank structure super seriously. So you will go do those things and you'll experience a lot, and you'll come back a corporal, 4 years, 3 years in, and you'll be a corporal, and you'll come back and you'll be treated like a boot, because you haven't been in infantry at all, right? You went and you did the other stuff. So you get put in this weird kind of like limbo land where you're a corporal, but you're treated like a PFC in an infantry unit because they don't trust you to do XYZ because you haven't been around in the MOS. The other side of the MOS is the MP side, the Marine Police, right, or the military police side. And that's cool, I guess, right? Like if you want to be a cop outside, I don't know how much it transfers as far as certifications you'll receive and stuff, but it's it's pretty mundane, I heard, for the first few years, right? Because you get to your first unit after your schoolhouse and everything, and you get stuck at the gate, brother. You get stuck checking IDs on a 12-hour shift, and it's fucking tough. And I don't know if I would want to do that. But you probably do get to work with a good amount of things, different weapon systems, possibly dog handlers, right? What's the chances of being a part of a FAST after signing the SF contract? So here's where I actually, it's funny you asked this. I had, if you follow me on YouTube or subscribe to me on YouTube, right? The link is in my bio, by the way. episode 2 or 3 is an individual that was Tank's MOS who got TAD'd because the MOS got disbanded, and he got essentially sent to security forces on 29 Palms, and he learned a lot. And then he changed MOSs and stayed in the Marine Corps and went crash crew. So I worked with him directly, and he was telling me a lot about that, or in regards to your question. And what I'll say to that is, the chances are like anything else in the Marine Corps, right? Like, you don't necessarily get a say. You don't get to choose. The recruiter might sell it to you like you do get a choice, but it's really not as much of a choice as you think. It's luck of the draw. You might get it, but you also might not. However, I think, and the reason I'm iffy on this is because I'm not this MOS, right? I do not have this security forces contract. But so I'm not 100% on this, but I'm pretty sure that after you do 2 years in the MOS, you have the availability to not lat move, right? Because you're not laterally moving to another MOS, but you have a choice to put in for the fast team. I'm pretty sure. But that would be a cool gig. A lot of my buddies a few of my buddies from Crash Crew used to work at Seaburf. They worked with the fast team over in Quantico. And it's a cool gig, right? But like I said, that is not a permanent contract. You will come back to your infantry. You'll be assigned to an infantry unit after your 3 years, right? And that's where it's tough, because after that transition, you find out how much the infantry really cares about the experience rather than the rank. But yeah, no, I mean, if you go check out episode 2 or 3, like I said, on YouTube, the full episode's on there on the podcast. You can give it a listen. But okay, back to it. Where was I? So my deployment, right? So I got a great opportunity with the deployment. What up, Prime? How we doing? I got a great opportunity with the deployment. I got to see a lot of cool things. I got to travel. I lucked out, and I got to go on my MEU the year before COVID started, because then another MEU went out as COVID was starting, or really like hitting, and their MEU sucked because they never got to port anywhere. They never got to really get off ship. It wasn't a fun experience as far as like what they were able to do compared to mine. Literally the year before, I was able to visit Hawaii. So we went from San Diego to Hawaii. From Hawaii, we went to Thailand. No. Yes, we went to Thailand. From Thailand, we went to Bahrain and Kuwait. On the way back, we hit Japan, Guam, Jordan on the way there for like a day or two, and then Jordan on the way back as well. And then Hawaii again before we came back to San Diego. What up, Jake? How we doing? And those were some great memories. I really got to experience a lot. I got to work with the infantry units there. We were a part of a trap team, which in my opinion is if not the best part of my MOS, right? The fact that we have the availability to be on a trap team is great. If you watch any of the past episodes, we talked about trap tactical recovery of aircraft personnel. That is a part of the 7051 MOS field. Jake, how are you doing? I'm doing well, bro. It's it's tough freaking Marine Mondays, just because I'm talking to myself here and there's only a few people in, but I thank you for joining. Thank you for the follow also, dude. Prime Pim says Monday screams beers, or is that just me? That might just be you, or I don't drink a lot anymore. But you know, I also I can't sit there and sip on a beer. You know what I mean? I can't do it. I used to be able to do it, but I don't like I think I'm at like alcohol wise, I'm I'm at the point where it's like if I'm gonna drink, it's to get drunk. And if I'm not getting drunk, because it takes me a while to get drunk, I'm not gonna drink because what's the point? You know what I mean? So I feel you because Monday sucks. Um, but yeah, so the deployment, right? The deployment did a lot for me. It gave me a lot of great experiences. Um, and I was really happy that I got to like have this opportunity to go on this deployment. Um, and I have no regrets because like it was long and it sucked, and there was parts of it where we were on the ship for months at a time and it just sucked. It sucked. I mean, the longest duration that we were on ship without seeing land was what, I think 2 months. And I was like, dude, this blows. But but ultimately by the time we got back, it was a blast. There's so many great memories from it. I made a lot of great friends. And it was an opportunity for everyone on the ship to go through the suck together because you know everyone's there. What is there to do on the ship? So I was not on an aircraft carrier. I was on a Mew, right? It's a small. It's the second largest ship that you can get sent on. And what's there to do on there? I'll tell you this much, not much, right? If you really want to get down to it, there are common areas where you can chill, you can play cards. I brought before I left, I bought some like off of a Facebook Marketplace thing. Someone was selling like a portable. It essentially was a suitcase with a TV in it for deployment purposes. So you essentially had the suitcase, it had an HDMI cord plugged in, and it had like a small monitor, it like attached to like the top of the briefcase, and you could plug your Xbox in. So I actually brought my Xbox on my deployment, and I would play the story mode to games, right? Obviously not online because you didn't have internet access, but I would play Xbox on there. You know, you would work out. There's a gym on the ship. The gym's actually huge. So like you'd be very surprised on what they could fit on these fucking boats. And then depending on how long we're on the ship, there's days where like they won't have flights scheduled, and because they're flying the entire time, right? There's flights the entire time, every fucking day for 9 months. There's flights. But first, depending on when you're on the ship, depending on if it's a holiday, right? Like 4th of July or something, or I was on the ship for New Year's, and that was cool. But they would have like events where they would have like they would port the ship, not port, but they would anchor the ship so we weren't moving, and we could be on top on the flight deck, and there was like, you know, a blow up pool, there was fishing rods that you could fish with, there was volleyball and stuff like that. So they had games for cornhole and frisbee and stuff. And so like that was a cool thing. And then also there was certain events when you would cross the equator, like they had like a little ceremony for you. But other than that, nothing, bro. How nerve-wracking was the first day on the ship? I'm not gonna lie to you, the first day was not that nerve-wracking. The first week was no. When we after we left, because we went from San Diego to Hawaii, and then we went from Hawaii to Thailand. The stretch from Hawaii to Thailand in the middle of the fucking Pacific Ocean, and the waves are so big that it's rocking this huge ship, and you're just sitting there like, I'm here. I can't go anywhere, right? There's nowhere for me to go. That was, I wouldn't say it's nerve wracking, but it's a realization that you're just like, I'm stuck. I can't go anywhere, right? And once you realize that you're in a berthing, or the sleeping area, this berthing is what it's called. When you realize how many people are in just your berthing alone, there's 3,000 people on the ship, dude. And there's how many berthings across the fucking whole ship. And within your own berthing, there's like 200 people living, all males, 200 males living in this one berthing. And you have 11 toilets, bro. And 2 of them break. And now you have 9. And then guess what? 2 more break. And then that's when it becomes tough. When the toilets start breaking, when the showers stop working, that shit sucked. But it was, like I said, it was an experience that so many other people were going through, and that's what made it, by the end, fun. Because you're like, dude, this is insanity, right? Like, those people were also going through the suck with me. There's a shitting line, bro. Shitting line, you'd find another berthing. Yeah, but I'll tell you this much. What happens when all the fucking toilets don't work? What happens when they're all clogged, bro? Guess what they do? They put a fire hose in the pipe that connects all of them, and they explode them all out. Explode them all out. All out, bro. And there's shit everywhere. And guess who has to clean it up? Yeah. Brother. What up, CJ? It fucking sucks. You do, because you clocked them. Oh my God. Not me at the time, but the Marines in full hazmat suits, right? It's dumb, dude. It's dumb. It's so crazy though, bro. It's so crazy. Or the fact that everyone's sleeping on the same rack, right? You have 4 racks top to bottom, and someone's gonna get sick. Dude. 200 people living in the same room. Someone's gonna get sick, and then someone just throws up on the ground right outside your bed. It blows, dude, but it was worth it. It was fun. There's a lot of good memories. I got to travel a little bit, and that made it really worth it. But man, oh man, the stories from that ship, dude. Okay, so back to it, right? So by the time I got back to the States, was late 2019, right? I got back in I got back. Yeah, I got back like early 2020. CJ with the 100 gifted bits on Twitch, baby. Holy tits. What? That's the biggest gifted freaking bits in a very long time, brother. That's a very long time. Thank you, dude. Thank you. But yeah, so when we got back, it was late 2019, early 2020, I believe. And when I got back, I ended up, it's tough because you're away from your place of work at that time for over a year, right? With the workup, you getting sent to your unit that you're gonna go on. 400 bits, brother? What? Oh, Jesus Christ. That actually scared the shit out of me. But yeah, dude, when by the time you get back, right? Like you've been away from your shop for like 4 years. Or 4 years, Jesus. You've been away from your shop for like a year and a half. And it's tough because the transition is interesting because by the time you get back, there's people that you worked with. CJ is the man, bro. He is the man. I can't believe that. I can't believe you just gifted like that. But by the time you get back, the people that you were there with, that you just had worked with for a whole year and made friendship, they're gone now because and there's new people there that you don't know. And the funny thing is when I got back, we were back for maybe like a month after we officially got sent back to our place of work, and we got sent down to station. So we were the wing unit, like I was explaining. We got sent to the air station as a FAP, right? As someone who this happens a lot in the crash crew community where what's your full-time job now? Prime, I'm still in the Marine Corps, brother. I'm still active duty in the Marine Corps. I'm still 7051. Crash crew, right? That's my full-time job. But yeah, so when I got back, right, like you get back, you're like, okay, I'm gonna get back in the swing of things on like going to the field, right? You're gonna get back into doing things like on a regular basis, and then you get told, oh, you along with 6 other people are going to get fapped down to station. Bonk, yes. I mean, not necessarily crash crew questions, but like just questions in general. I'm explaining my story, or not story, but my Marine Corps career a little bit. Not a little bit. I'm going through it right now. And if anyone has questions, yeah, go for it. But you get back and then you get told that you're gonna get sent down to station, and you're like, okay, so now I've been away from my shop for a year and a half because of deployment. I get back, I'm about to get ready to get back into the swing of things. Like I got to the fleet and I had known, and then boom, you get sent to somewhere completely new where you haven't worked. It might be crash crew, sure, but like you have never worked at an air station. What the fuck? 500 bits from fucking CJ on Twitch? Brother, you gotta relax, my man. Holy shit. But you get down to the station, right? And brother, stop sending bits. Jesus almighty. Thank you, dude. Holy shit. Another 20? He was probably just capping off what he had in the bank. You know what I mean? Had in the stock. He was just capping it off at the 20. But let me get back to it. Okay, so yeah, by the time you get down to the station, so you got sent down, and you're like, okay, great. Now I have to experience something completely new. I just learned. I just got to the fleet in 2018. I learned how the wing works for a year. Then I get sent on a deployment. I learned how that unit worked and how to work with those people for a year and a half, right? And then I was on boat with them. And then you get back, and then you're like, oh, good. Go work with a whole new group of people down somewhere else you haven't worked, right? So the first 3 years of my fleet career in the Marine Corps was like learning, break, and then learning. And like, yeah, sure, it all revolved around 7051 stuff, but like at the same time, it was all new people that I was working with. It was a whole new structure each time, right? Because you went from the wing and doing like field stuff, you went to the MEU and you worked with trap, and I had to learn that side, and then boom, I got the station experience and I had to go down there. What are you doing, bro? Oh shit is right, Bonk. Oh shit is right. What is he doing? For anyone on Twitch right now, CJ just hopped over to TikTok and sent a Galaxy 145 roses, and he's still sending more fucking roses. Anyway, by the time I got down to station, right? I had a lot of experience under my belt, but I didn't have experience on an air station, right? So like I was well-rounded, but at the same time I wasn't like proficient in in how to operate as a crash crew guy on an air station. And so then I learned that side of things. I was down there from 2020. Got down there in like March of 2020, so like prime COVID, and then was there till 2022. Yeah, I came back up in November of 2022. So I was down there for 2 years. Unfortunately, got NJP twice while I was down there. NJP is for anyone who's not in the Marine Corps in the chat, is judicial holy shit punishment. That was dumb, right? That sucked. And that threw my career through a little bit of a loop, right? For sure. But there was some growing pains there, and I learned from it, sort of. And then I got the chance to come back to the wing, where I had to learn something completely new, because by the time I got back to the wing, I was a corporal. I had been a sergeant, and I got demoted, right? We'll move on from that. But then I got back to the wing, and though I knew how the wing operated, I was then placed in a billet to where I had to learn that, right? So like there was never any consistency with what I was trying to accomplish. CJ, thank you so much, bro. We'll talk later after I'm done with my rant, but this is crazy. But yeah, so like that was the tough transition, because it was a consistent move. It was a consistent, okay, you're here for a year, you're here for a year, you're here for 2 years, now you're back and you have to learn something new. And the day-to-day was almost completely different every single place I went, right? What does your day-to-day look like now? Day-to-day where I'm at now is kind of similar to when I got back to the wing from station. It's but in a different area. Instead of worrying about going on field ops over there, as far as like, okay, I was like, I was in a billet there, but I would still go on field ops when they would come up. To where now this is a non-active airfield, so it's literally a 9 to 5. You know, like the classic like 9 to 5 saying, right? Like that is what I'm working now. Which you know, the transition from that was expected because I was PCSing. I was moving duty stations. And that's, you expect that change. You expect to have to come into a new area and learn how the new place, something new works. But it makes sense because of what you're doing. You're moving a complete new duty station, and that would make sense if someone had the same job for, let's say, 4 years and then moved to a new duty station, had to learn it all over again. But I never had a chance to just kind of be in one place. I was consistently moving, which helped me a lot with my experience overall, because I like to consider like where I'm at personally in the 751 world like a very well-rounded crash crewman. But it was also super annoying at the time. It was definitely super annoying. but yeah, so by the time I got back to the wing, I got the billet. I was able to be in more of a leadership position. You're becoming a jack of all trades. I wouldn't say jack of all trades. There's definitely people in the MOS who know way more than me. There's a lot of technical sides to my job field, right? Like medically, there's a whole bunch of people I work with right now that are lesser ranked than me that know way more than me. About the medical side, there's a lot of technical stuff as far as aircraft that I learned a whole bunch, but it's like it's hard. It's there depending on what type of person you are and what type of crash crew marine you want to become. There's a lot of people who like stuck to that as far as what they were learning, and that like they know a lot about aircraft knowledge, right? And that's more than me, right? Experience wise, sure, I'd like to say that I have a pretty well-rounded resume on the experience side, right? Which I think is in our MOS specifically is the most important thing, right? Because experience, you can say that you read the textbook, or we call it a NavAir, but you say you read the textbook fucking 5 times, but when have you applied it, right? So by the time I got back to 372, right, I was in that billet, and I got the ability to like lead from a different perspective, which was nice, but it was a complete 180 from the leadership style that I had to implement down at station, right? Because as a corporal and then a sergeant and then a corporal again, it was tough to implement. It was tough. It was a completely different work style. You working a shift schedule, right? Like a 48-72, 2 days on, 2 days off, 3 days on, 2 days off, right? Like, and having to like deal with the leaders, like you growing as a leader there and then coming to a wing and it's a completely different schedule, and then adjusting your leadership back to like a more relaxed area, right? But I will say in a positive light, that really did help me like grow as, I guess, a leader, right? You don't realize how little people know as from a leadership perspective until you work with a bunch of different people at a bunch of different ranks, and you see how they never got the opportunity to like be in a leadership position, and now they are because they just stayed in that long, and it shows like drastically. But yeah, so I ended up re-enlisting again out of 372. I ended up coming over to I basically broke a deal with what we call the monitor. The monitor is someone who deals with your specific MOS, and maybe they have a few under his or her like area that they would cover. There's a bunch of monitors for all the different MOSs, but a lot have like multiple to handle. And so our monitor essentially cut me a deal and was like, you just got HISted. HIST being the special duty assignment. Basically the Marine Corps telling you, hey, you've been in the Marine Corps for this long, cool. You owe the Marine Corps time back for some fucking reason. I don't get it at all. I think it's the dumbest thing that the Marine Corps will ever do. But you owe the Marine Corps time back. You are HISted. You have to fulfill this duty assignment, or you don't get to re-enlist anymore. If you deny the orders, you don't get to re-enlist. You don't get to pick up. You have to get out, right? Because you denied that. And so essentially, I was about to deny it, and the monitor was like, "Hey, you take orders to 29 Palms. They need sergeants over there, and they don't have any staff. You'll be placed in this X billet, right? And if you take these orders, I will like get you off the list for the special duty assignment. And I was like, bet. Do it. Can't be that bad. Wrong. It's that fucking bad. I hate it here. No, but I was excited for the change. I think it was an opportunity that I saw. There was a bunch of people that I was working with, and also like my family members and friends who were like, hey, this is an opportunity. If you don't want to get out right now, then do another 4, right? Like, why not? And I think it was ultimately a better decision for me at the time. I feel like a lot of people don't factor in, like, the Marine Corps is not necessarily a safety net, but it's a net. It is security, right? You get the opportunity to have a paycheck twice a month. You get the opportunity to have a place to live, and if you're not married or whatever, you get a barracks room, and if you are, guess what? You get paid for your housing. And you know, there are a lot of things that suck about it, but what I think is a bad mindset from a first-term Marine is that they are too afraid to like take the time to re-enlist for maybe just one more contract to go into that contract saying, okay, I'm going to fulfill my job and my duties for like this period of time, sure, but I'm going to take this time to also set myself up for the inevitable of getting out, right? Whereas they just say, you know what, I'm going to do the 4 and I'm going to get out. And then within those first 4, guess what? They're a Lance Corporal, they're a junior Marine, a new corporal, and they don't have any time to actually like set themselves up. If they take the time to do that, then I'm all for it, right? You did your due diligence to set yourself up for outside the Marine Corps, and I'll give them there. I'll give them that there, right? But that is, I think that's the minority of that category, right? I don't think that most Marines in that situation give themselves the opportunity to be successful outside the Marine Corps. I think they really just want to get out, and they take that and they run with it, and it bites them in the ass, right? Whereas, like, I think if they just stuck their pride up for a second and said, let me just set myself up even more, because what? You're going to be, what, 4 years older? Maybe you're going to be in your mid-20s. Okay, cool. You have time to get outside the Marine Corps at still a very young age and have a successful career with whatever you go into, right? But at least you took 4 more years of getting paid, right? Having an easy, in RMOS, an easy day-to-day life, and then also setting yourself up better than saying, oh, I'm going to use BAH from using my GI Bill. But that's not a job. So basically what you're telling me is that you're just going to go to school for 3 years, work at fucking Starbucks maybe, or Ace Hardware, and then just for the next 3 years bank off the fact that you're getting paid to go to school or something. Like, why not just do that in the Marine Corps, get paid for 4 more years, and then maybe later down the line, if you want to go for a master's or a second degree, now that you have a solid career, you could do that, right? And then get paid extra, right? Don't make that your source of income. You know, like, I mean, if you're okay with that as a I'll talk to the male populace only for right now. If you're okay with that as a man, then, like, you know, so be it. But guess what? Like, that's kind of fucking stupid, you know? But that's where it's like I took that time and I said, okay, at that moment in my life where I was like, I need to get out, at a moment I was like, I'm going to do the 20. I'm just going to do the 20. Right? At that moment, that was a large topic on my mind. But also, I took a step back and I looked at myself in the mirror and I was like, am I ready to get out of the Marine Corps? Am I ready to have another career right now? At the time, I didn't finish my degree. I didn't have my bachelor's. I didn't take the time to set up interviews, to make a solid resume, to, you know what I mean? And I was like, okay, let's just do another 4, right? Get paid doing it. And then set yourself up better for you might be, you know, a little older, which sucks, right? But like at the same time, guess what, dude? Life, like, time doesn't stop. Time's inevitable. So fuck it, right? Like at least now I can get out of the Marine Corps. My intention is to have a master's, but at the bare minimum, I will have a bachelor's degree, and I will be able to utilize that on my resume as well as my experience in a very high billet position to where I can use management skills, like the leadership skills. I mean, you talk to like it. Now I'm going on a rant, but you talk to a lot of people that are in, let's say, the business field. I give this story a lot where I was on a flight back to New Jersey, and I sat next to this dude who was working the entire time. He was on his computer, he was on a conference call. So I took the opportunity to ask him a question. I was just like, hey, if you don't mind me asking, what do you do? We started talking. He's the CFO for the Amtrak trains over in Oceanside and all up along the coast of Southern California. And I was like, okay, this is fucking crazy. But I asked him the question. I was like, okay, because he was a prior service as well. He was Army. He did not do the full 20. He got out at like 10 years, I think he said. And look at where he is now. He was flying to Philly for a dinner meeting and then flying back the next day. What the fuck, dude? But so I asked him, and I was like, in your opinion, coming from prior service and everything, do you think that having Marine Corps on a resume holds as much weight as it did in the past, let's say 10 years ago? And he said, absolutely. And going into that question, I was ready and prepared for the response of, no, it does not hold enough, as much weight. It still holds some weight, but it doesn't, right? And I was wrong. He was like, no, you're stupid. And I was like, okay, well, cool, thanks. But he essentially was like, no, it holds an exponential amount of weight because you have so many other life experiences on there that people that come out of college don't, right? You might not have the job experience as far as, let's say, the business field. I don't have any business background, but he was like, what do business companies want? They want management experience. They want leadership experience. They want team working ability. And you have all that at an exponential amount. And I was like, okay. And then he kept going on, and he was just proving my mindset wrong. And it really turned my head on the fact that nothing's guaranteed, right? You know, I'm still gonna have to fucking work hard for it, but someone's calling me. It's my friend Burgess right now, and I'm. Who are you?
No, I do not put me on right now.
I am currently live on the podcast right now, so.
I love you. Well, awesome.
Yes, we will catch up here soon. Okay, bye. That was an awesome friend from 372. She will be at the wedding. If you're watching, Burgess, you're getting an invite. But yeah, so that changed my mindset on like where I thought. That changed my mindset on how I was nervous on the re-enlistment coming to 29 Palms, and I was like, was it a good decision? And then that really changed my perspective. Tell them if they get out. Oh, is she watching right now, dude? No way she's watching. And that's where it was like, I felt more comfortable with the decision because I was, what is this? Select two objects that are the same shape. Okay, sorry. I apparently TikTok doesn't like when I talk too long. But the thing is that like if you just set yourself up, you can thrive so much outside the Marine Corps. My rant might have seemed like a recruiting ploy to make you stay in. I'm actually completely against it. I don't think you should stay in. I think that the time that the Marine Corps, and if anyone higher up Marine Corps ever sees this, please don't NJP me. But if you think about how much time we put in and as far as like working late hours, being a part of it, just the gritty work that we do on a day-to-day basis, like, and it's not every fucking day, right? Like there's some slow days. We don't get paid enough, right? There's so many things that like we don't get enough of. I think that, and I will not talk about the entire military because the Air Force gets fucking pedicures in the retrospect of getting treated well in the military, right? Compared to fucking the Marine Corps. I think that Marines will thrive outside the Marine Corps if they set themselves up properly. If you are a person who knows what they want to do, who sticks to it, makes the decision, and fucking, I can give an example of a coworker. He's in the stream right now. His name's Godinez. He's taking it upon himself to fucking finish school, take classes while he's in. Fucking, he intends to probably finish his degree when he's out, but he's like not asking anyone for fucking any help. He's not really complaining about it. He just like does what he needs to do, and then he focuses on getting out of the Marine Corps and like being proactive about getting out. And that's someone who's going to be successful outside the Marine Corps. The people that complain about the Marine Corps and how they fucking are owed something, and then they get out of the Marine Corps and they end up working at fucking Ace Hardware. Brother, figure your life out. Because there's no way Ace Hardware is better than the Marine Corps at that point. Right? So like set yourself up. Like take the time, because you can be successful outside the Marine Corps. It's just you need to be proactive about it, That guy sounds really cool and hot. Yes. No, he has college every fucking Monday at 5 p.m. Which he should be in class right now. What the hell? No, he has it at 6, doesn't he? So he needs to leave early. But yeah, I mean, so now my career has brought me to 29 Palms. By the time I get out, I'll be at 11 years, and everyone says, oh, you've already pushed past the 10. You should fucking finish it out. I'm not going to finish it out because like my friend Burgess told me that you can thrive outside the Marine Corps, right? And I believe like that's true. And it doesn't matter if you put over 10 in, right? Like I'm excited to set myself up to go out and do something new, and get paid really great money to do it, but I'm over here at 29. I'm enjoying it, sort of, right? The people I work with are pretty cool, I guess, some of them. It's a good gig, to be honest, in the Crash Crew world of things. It is a great gig. We have a lot of availability to do a lot of different things on a day-to-day basis compared to like anywhere else in the Marine Corps as far as Crash Crew, right? So that side of things is good. 29 Palms sucks, I'll say that. Dirt everywhere. I mean, it's just everywhere. There's dirt. There's dirt in places that you didn't even think dirt could get. You know what I mean? And you can try to be clean, but that dirt keeps coming, dude. the dirt keeps coming. And you wake up and guess what? It's hot. And then you go to bed and it's hot. And it doesn't matter what time of the day it is. It's fucking hot all the time. Or it's cold. It's fucking miserably cold. There's no like springtime, you know? There's no trees. Whatever, dude. I didn't think I was going to talk this long, to be honest. It's been an hour and 10 minutes for my tracker right now, and that was actually longer than I thought. I mean, you know, it's just me right now, and I had fun with it. People, I appreciate Prime Prib. If you're still in the Twitch, brother, thank you for asking those questions. Bonk, aka Godinez, where I'm trying to expose him on TikTok. Thank you for your questions. CJ, thank you for the gifts. I'm going to be probably going live and here in like the next 30 minutes after I end the podcast, and I'm going to be streaming some games. So if you want to hop in there and chat for a bit. While I'm gaming, let me know. Come say what's up. But guys, I will say this for the 4 people in Twitch and the 7 people over on TikTok. We are so close to our 50 subscriber goal on TikTok. We are, what is that? 22 off. We are 22 off. I would love nothing more if you like the Marine Mondays, even if you enjoy the conversation, if you know anyone who enjoys gaming and or just watching, you know, like a stream that actually chats with you, please let them know about Twitch or TikTok, and if you want to stay around, please please subscribe. It's $2.99 on TikTok. So you're saving a whole bunch of money there. And compared to Twitch. But if you're on Twitch, use that 1 free month Prime subscription. And subscribe on Twitch. Get rid of the ads, brother. So again, guys, thank you for stopping in. I'm going to try and make some clips out of this. I think there's some good stuff. I mean, I've been bad about the clips. I need to promote the podcast more. I want to try and upload the audio to either Spotify or the Apple podcast thing, so that people can listen. But you know, if you want to watch the episodes back, hop on over to YouTube. I post every episode on there, the full thing, and you can skip through and you can send it a like. You can subscribe for free on YouTube. But I appreciate the love. I appreciate the gifts from CJ, the freaking bits over on Twitch from CJ. He was really going off today. But we will be live again here soon. And then also the rest of the week before I leave for the weekend. I won't be on all weekend. So we're gonna try and get a good amount of lives in before then. Everyone have a great rest of your night. If I don't see you back in the stream in a couple of minutes, thank you for joining. Thank you for the likes, and everyone have a great rest of their week.